Dear friends, Shabbat Shalom. I hope you've had another good week. I'm Mark Golub. I also hope you have a lovely July 4th weekend. Wherever you are and whomever you're with, it feels so strange, doesn't it, to still be basically in lockdown during a holiday which has everything to do with being outdoors and in groups of people. Fireworks, parades, barbecues, family. And it highlights the strain this pandemic is putting on all of us. I've said it from the moment we were all forced inside. JBS is with you. I am with you, especially if you're living alone and you have no one to share this very difficult and yes, even frightening times. And I hope JBS has been of some help and comfort to you. And in this regard, I want to read an email that was sent to me that's just very lovely and touched all of us who bring you JBS. It's from a couple in Miami, Florida, Lynn and Paul, and they write, 9 weeks ago, at the imposition of the pandemic confinement, I discovered JBS, which has become the saving grace to which I have become addicted. From the insightful interviews, the poignant personal memoirs, the updated daily Israeli news, the music and comedy relief, the Hebrew classes, the Shabbat services, the book and movie reviews, and the travelogues. JBS has expanded my world and enriched my life and that of my multi-generational family. Behind every cloud, there's a silver lining, and JBS has proved that adage to be true. To life, to love, Lynn and Paul of Miami, Florida. I hope you can understand how much an email or a letter like this means to all of us at JBS. Lynn and Paul, thank you so much. And it's exactly what I hope JBS could be for you during this pandemic. Lynn and Paul, you created a silver lining for me and the JBS family by your wonderful letter. By the way, Lynn and Paul make reference to virtually all the programming we have on JBS. And I want to alert you to 2 programs coming up this week. On Monday night at 6:30 p.m., repeated at 11:30 p.m., which is 8:30 p.m. on the West Coast, I'll be speaking with one of the leading COVID experts in the country, Dr. David Katz. You may have seen his op-ed in the New York Times, which created all sorts of controversy because he questioned some of the COVID policies of our country. And David, who's a lovely, lovely man. David is remarkably optimistic about the near-term future. And I'm sure you've heard about all these reports of an increase in diagnosed cases of COVID-19, especially in certain parts of the country, though there hasn't been thus far a corollary increase in deaths. It seems that many young people have contracted the virus and their own immune systems have fought it off. But David Katz has a thoughtful, nuanced take on the coronavirus. And again, it's very optimistic. So I hope you make a point of watching my conversation with Dr. David Katz this coming Monday evening, again, 6:30 and 11:30 p.m. New York time. And also, in response to many requests, we will be replaying for you the series I created a number of years ago when JBS was then called Shalom TV. I hope many of you remember Shalom TV. The series I created was called Jewish 101, in which I discussed the philosophy and values of the Jewish tradition, drawing upon Midrash. And if you're not familiar with the Hebrew term Midrash, Midrash is the commentaries and interpretations of the Torah created by the great sage rabbis of Jewish history, who shaped the Jewish tradition that's existed to this very day. And not every rabbi talks about Judaism in the same way. Every rabbi has their own way of presenting what he or she feels is at the essence, the core of Jewish values and Jewish tradition, Judaism. This is my take. And I'm not a fundamentalist Jew. I'm not a literalist. I'm not a Torah Sinai rabbi. I rely on Midrash, the insights of the rabbinic tradition, to shape my own understanding of Jewish 101. So Jewish 101 will premiere this coming Wednesday at 9 a.m. and again 4:30 p.m. New York time. So I hope if you're interested in learning about the Jewish tradition, you'll make a point of watching Jewish 101. By the way, not every letter is totally complimentary. And I'm happy to receive any comments you have, good or bad, about JBS or about me. And here is an email from Stuart, Coral Place, New York. He writes, Mark, I really enjoy your station. I just saw the interview with Daniel Greenfield. By the way, Daniel Greenfield was in the news with me, and he wrote about the fact that on the West Coast, Black Lives Matter had written graffiti, ugly graffiti about Israel on the wall of a synagogue, and he was concerned about the anti-Semitism inside Black Lives Matter and how, in general, a community he felt had been attacked during one of the recent riots in L.A. Anyway, that's Daniel Greenfield. So Stuart writes, I really enjoy your station. I just saw the interview with Daniel Greenfield. Two things. One, please shorten questions and let guest answer. He doesn't like my style. I wrote, by the way, Stuart, I'm me. I'm just me. I do the best I can. I'm not going to change my style. And then he writes, two, more importantly, you are, as you state, living in the mindset of the 50s and 60s. I didn't say I was living in the mindset of the 50s and 60s. I'm a product of the 50s and 60s. Then he writes, Black Lives Matter, even forgetting about its anti-Semitism and anti-Israel elements, is an openly Marxist group. Its aim is not reform, but rather destruction. Stop talking about them as if this was MLK, Martin Luther King. It's not. Stuart of Carl Place. Well, I don't think I said anything that suggested that Black Lives Matter is anything like the peace movement of Martin Luther King and the civil rights movement of which I grew up in and was totally influenced by. And I've expressed my own concerns about Black Lives Matter. And most importantly, I've made a distinction between the peaceful protests of the overwhelming majority of people who took to the streets after the horrifying murder of George Floyd by a Minneapolis policeman. I made a distinction between that and the violence. And I've said that the violence is not small. Cities don't impose curfews throughout America because there's a a window or a store looted here or there. There was serious violence, and there's been serious violence. And what pains me most is that the leaders of Black Lives Matter have not condemned the violence. And our major political leaders have not condemned the violence. It is to be condemned. By the way, one more just quick letter in contrast to Stuart. So Bill writes me, L'chaim, your conversation with Dave Rubin, and Dave Rubin was on this week. He's written the book, Don't Burn This Book. He's a leading YouTube personality and does his own podcast. Your conversation with Dave Rubin was thoughtful, informative, and very timely in this turmoil period in our country. You are truly a very skilled and insightful interviewer. Thank you, Bill. That's a contrast to Stuart's email. And so you see, I get them from both sides. On the JBS community announcements for this week, for Misha Berach, I'd like to mention Aaron Bauman, who's being thought of lovingly by Leah Chaya Weiner and by her husband. And we wish Aaron Bauman a refuah shlema, complete healing of body and of soul. And if there's anyone you'd like me to mention for a Misha Berach, or if there's a passing or a yortzeit, and you'd like me to read a loved one's name, or if you're celebrating a simcha, a birthday, an anniversary, a graduation, an accomplishment of any kind, either for yourself or a child or a grandchild, or anyone who is important to you, please email me the information and I'll be honored to read it on JBS. Simply email to jbscommunity@jbstv.org. That's jbscommunity, one word, @jbstv.org. Or you can write me at JBS, Post Office Box 360, Stamford, Connecticut, 06904. And if you wish to be in touch with me directly, my email address is very simple, rabbigalub@jbstv.org. And so until the next time, I'm Mark Golub. Have a wonderful July 4th weekend, and stay safe and be well, my friends. Shabbat Shalom.
We would be pleased to send a complimentary DVD of this program to anyone who wishes to support JBS with a tax-deductible gift of $36, double chai or more. Simply visit the JBS website at jbstv.org and click on the Donate button to make a donation by PayPal or your credit card. And please indicate the program for which you would like a DVD. Or you can send your tax-deductible check to JBS, Post Office Box 360, Stamford, Connecticut 06904. Or you can call the JBS Pledge Line at 833-MY-JBS-TV. That's 833-695-2788. And again, please remember to indicate which program you would like to receive with our compliments. We thank you for your kind support.